The alarm went off at 3 in the morning. Commander G1 woke up immediately. She had been doing this job for 12 years now, and strange signals always came at the worst times. She pulled on her uniform and walked quickly to the control room of Defense Station Epsilon 7. The station floated at the edge of Earth's solar system, far beyond where most ships ever traveled. It was one of 24 stations that formed a ring around human space. Their job was simple: watch for anything coming toward Earth. For 200 years, nothing had come. Tonight was different. "Show me the signal," G1 said to her night crew. A young officer named Quan pulled it up on the main screen. The signal was weak, breaking up every few seconds. But it was definitely there. More importantly, it was a distress call. "Can we clean it up?" G1 asked. "Working on it now, Commander," Quan replied. His fingers moved fast across his console. Slowly, the signal became clearer. A voice came through, speaking a language that hadn't been heard in Earth space for 2 centuries. It was alien. Ji-won felt her heart beat faster. She had trained for this moment her entire career, but she never really thought it would happen. Earth had been silent for so long. The rest of the galaxy thought humans were dead or gone. That was exactly what Earth's leaders wanted them to think. "Translation coming through," another officer said. The computer started converting the alien words into Korean, then English. The message was simple and terrifying. "This is the refugee ship Luminous Hope. We are under attack. Our engines are damaged. 1,500 civilians on board. Please, anyone who can hear this, we need help. They are killing us," the message repeated. Over and over. The voice sounded tired and afraid. "Get me Admiral Minho," Ji-won ordered. "And wake up Dr. Hana. We need a xenolinguist." "Yes, Commander." Ji-won stared at the signal data while she waited. The ship was close, only 2 light years away from their position. That was practically next door in space terms. Whoever was attacking them might come even closer. Might find the station, might find Earth. Admiral Minho's face appeared on her screen. He looked old and tired. He had every right to be. He had fought in the last war back before Earth went silent. He had seen friends die. He had seen Earth almost destroyed. "Commander Ji-won," he said. His voice was rough. "Tell me this isn't what I think it is." "It's a distress call, Admiral. Alien refugees. Someone is attacking them." Minho closed his eyes for a moment, after 200 years of silence. "Of course it's now. What are your orders, sir?" "Stand by. I need to wake up the High Council. This isn't a decision I can make alone." The connection ended. Ji-won understood. If they responded to this call, Earth would reveal itself to the galaxy again. Everything would change. The safety of silence would be gone. Dr. Hana arrived 30 minutes later. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and quick movements. She had spent her whole life studying alien languages, even though she had never met an alien. Most people thought her job was pointless. Tonight she was the most important person on the station. "Play it for me," Hana said, not bothering with greetings. Quan played the distress call. Hana listened 3 times, her eyes closed, her head tilted. Then she started typing notes. "It's Deline," she said finally. "An old species. Peaceful traders, if I remember correctly. The language structure suggests high stress and genuine fear." "This isn't a fake. Can you tell who's attacking them?" Ji-won asked. "Give me a minute." Hana worked on her computer, pulling up files that hadn't been opened in decades. There. The ship mentions a name in the background chatter, Vratok. That's not good. "Why?" "The Vratok Empire. They've been expanding for the last 50 years. Conquered 17 systems according to the old intelligence reports. They don't take prisoners. They don't negotiate. They just take what they want and destroy what they don't." Ji-won felt cold. "And now they're close to us. Very close." 2 hours passed. Ji-won watched the distress signal get weaker. The refugee ship was dying. She wanted to do something, but she had no authority to act. Not for something this big. Finally, Admiral Minho called back. He looked even more tired than before. "The High Council has made their decision," he said. "We're going to respond." Ji-won felt relief and fear at the same time. "When?" "Now I'm bringing the 3rd Fleet out of hiding. We'll meet you at your coordinates in 6 hours. Start preparing your station for full combat status." "Admiral, are we ready for this? For war again?" Minho smiled, but there was no happiness in it. "Commander, we've been ready for 200 years. That's all we've been doing. Building ships, training crews, getting stronger, making sure that what happened before never happens again. And if the Vratok Empire comes after us, then they'll learn the same lesson that everyone learned last time. You don't threaten Earth, you don't threaten humanity. We might be quiet, but we're not weak. Not anymore. The connection ended again. Jiwon started giving orders. Her station had looked like a simple research outpost for 2 centuries. Now it was time to show what it really was. Panels opened on the station's hull. Weapons that had been hidden emerged. Shields powered up. Fighter craft in the hangar bay started their pre-flight checks. The station transformed from a peaceful observer into a military fortress in minutes. On Earth, thousands of kilometers away, other changes were happening. Admiral Minho stood in the command center buried deep under the Pacific Ocean. Around him, holographic displays showed the entire solar system. He pressed a button and spoke a single word. Activate. Across the solar system, things began to move. Behind Jupiter, where no one would think to look, massive ships powered up their engines. They had been waiting in the cold and dark for 200 years. Their crews were ready. Their weapons were charged. Their orders were clear. In the asteroid belt, what looked like ordinary rocks shifted position. They weren't rocks. They were weapons platforms, thousands of them, all controlled by advanced computers. Near Mars, in parking orbits that looked empty, stealth fields dropped. Warships appeared, already moving into formation. The silent Armada was waking up. Minho watched the displays with satisfaction. Humanity had spent 2 centuries preparing for this moment. They had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. They had built ships that were faster, stronger, and smarter than anything the galaxy had seen before. They had changed themselves too, enhancing their bodies and minds to be better soldiers, better pilots, better survivors. "Admiral," his second officer said, "all fleets report ready. 3,000 ships can be deployed within 24 hours. "We'll start with 300, Minho replied. "No need to show them everything on the first day." He looked at the image of the refugee ship on his screen. It was still broadcasting its desperate call for help, still hoping someone would answer. "They're about to learn something," Minho said quietly. "The galaxy forgot about humanity. They thought we were gone. They're about to remember why they should have kept looking over their shoulders. Send the order. All ships jump in 10 minutes. Time to make some noise. The fleet began to move. After 200 years of silence, Earth was about to speak again, and the galaxy would listen. The jump through faster than light space always felt strange to Captain Taehyun. His stomach twisted, his vision blurred, and for just a second, he felt like he was in 2 places at once. Then reality snapped back into focus, and they were there. The flagship Eternal Vigil dropped into normal space with 299 other ships. They appeared in a perfect sphere formation around the refugee vessel. Taehyun had studied this maneuver in training simulations hundreds of times. Seeing it happen in real life made him proud. Every ship was exactly where it should be. "Sensors, give me a reading," Admiral Minho said from his command chair. 3 Vratok destroyers surrounding the refugee ship, sir," the sensor officer reported. "They're playing with it. Firing low-power weapons, taking their time." Taehyun felt anger rise in his chest. He had read about the Vratok in history files. They were bullies. They enjoyed making others suffer. He looked at his tactical display and started running attack calculations. His enhanced mind processed the numbers in seconds. Humans weren't born this way anymore. Everyone received genetic improvements at birth now. Faster reflexes, better memory, stronger bodies. The ability to connect directly with computers through neural implants. "Admiral, the Vratok ships are hailing us," the communications officer said. "Put them on screen." A Vratok commander appeared on the main display. He looked like a cross between a lizard and a bull with dark scales and small eyes. He was laughing. Well, more prey comes to die. "What species are you?" "You look soft and weak. This will be fun." Admiral Minho stood up slowly. His face showed no emotion. "I am Admiral Minho of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are attacking refugees under our protection. Power down your weapons and withdraw immediately." The Vratok commander laughed harder. Earth? The dead world? The extinct species? You must be joking. Everyone knows humans died out 200 years ago." "We got better," Minho said simply. "Last warning. Withdraw or we will make you withdraw. I have 3 destroyers. You have what? Tiny scout ships? We will crush you and then we will find this Earth you speak of. We will finish what someone else started." The screen went dark. The Vratok commander had ended the call. "Sir?" Taehyun asked, waiting for orders. Launch fighters, Minho said calmly. Wraith Squadron only. Let's not waste everyone's time. Taehyun smiled. Wraith Squadron was the best of the best, and their leader, Soman, was a legend among pilots. In the hangar bay of the Eternal Vigil, Soman pulled on her helmet and climbed into her fighter craft. It was small, sleek, and black as space itself. The other 11 members of her squadron did the same. Wraith leader to all Wraiths, she said over the comm. Remember the training. Fast, precise, no showing off. We have an audience. Make them remember this. Copy that, Wraith leader. The hangar bay doors opened. One by one, the 12 fighters launched into space. They moved in a pattern that looked random but wasn't. Each pilot knew exactly where the others were at all times. Their neural implants allowed them to share tactical data instantly. The Vratok destroyers detected the fighters and started laughing over open channels. 12 tiny fighters against 3 massive warships? It seemed like a joke. Weapons free, Soman ordered. The fighters split apart, each one moving in a different direction. The Vratok destroyers tried to track them but couldn't. The human fighters were too fast, too agile. They dodged every shot the destroyers fired. Soman lined up her first attack run. She dived toward the closest destroyer, her fighter's computer targeting the ship's engine port. At the last second, she fired a single missile and pulled away so hard that a normal human would have blacked out from the G-forces. She didn't even feel dizzy. The missile hit perfectly. The destroyer's engine exploded. The ship went dark, spinning slowly in space. 1 down, 2 to go, Soman said calmly. The other Vratok ships stopped laughing. They started firing wildly, filling space with weapons fire. None of it touched the human fighters. Another Wraith pilot, a young man named Ki-hyun, made his attack run. He fired a spread of micro-missiles that hit the destroyer's bridge section. The ship's command center was destroyed in seconds. The destroyer was still intact, but it was blind and helpless now. The third Vratok destroyer turned and tried to run. It didn't get far. 4 Wraith fighters herded it like dogs herding sheep, firing warning shots that boxed it in. The Vratok captain finally understood. He was outmatched. Completely. The third destroyer is signaling surrender. The communications officer reported to Admiral Minho. Accept it, but keep our weapons locked on them. Taehyun, send a boarding party to secure that ship. I want their computers and their captain. Yes, sir. The entire fight had lasted 7 minutes. On the refugee ship Luminous Hope, Elder Consul Byung watched through the viewport. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. His species, the Delenes, were peaceful traders. They had never been warriors. When the Vratok Empire came, they had no way to fight back. 15 worlds had fallen. His own planet was ash now. He had thought they would die here in space, hunted like animals for sport. Then these humans had appeared, these supposedly extinct humans, and they had made it look easy. Sir, one of his assistants said, the human ships are hailing us. Answer them. A human woman appeared on their display. She was small, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. She spoke in perfect Delene language. I am Dr. Hana of Earth. We're here to help you. Can you tell me how many people are on your ship, and if anyone needs medical attention? Byung felt tears in his eyes. He hadn't cried since his planet died. 1,500 souls, many injured, food and water running low. How do you speak our language? Hana smiled. I've been studying it my whole life, waiting for a chance to use it. Please let us bring you aboard our ships. You're safe now. Within an hour, human medical teams were on the Luminous Hope. They moved efficiently, treating the wounded, distributing food and water, making repairs to critical systems. The Delene refugees watched them in amazement. These humans were strong, fast, and incredibly skilled. They worked together like parts of a single machine. Dr. Hana walked through the refugee ship with Elder Byung. She wanted to understand what had happened, to hear their story. The Vratok came 3 months ago, Byung explained. They gave us 1 day to surrender. We tried to negotiate. They destroyed one of our cities as a response. After that, we had no choice. They took everything, resources, ships, people for slaves. Some of us managed to escape. We've been running ever since. The galaxy did nothing? Hana asked. The Galactic Council is weak. Everyone is afraid. The Vratok are strong and cruel. No one wants to be next. Byung looked at her carefully. But humans. Everyone thought you were gone. What happened? Hana was quiet for a moment. We lost a war 200 years ago. We almost died out, but we survived. And we decided that would never happen again, so we went quiet. We built, we prepared. We made ourselves stronger. For 200 years? Yes. That's a long time to prepare for war. We prefer to call it preparing to never lose again, Hana said softly. They walked past a human soldier who was helping a Delian child. The soldier was young, maybe 20 years old, but Byung could see something in his eyes. A hardness, a readiness. These humans had been raised for this. Your ships, Byung said suddenly. I've been looking at them. They have scars, battle damage that has been repaired. But they're also clearly old. How old are your ships? Hana smiled, but there was something sad in it. Most of them are over 100 years old. Some are older. We've been building this fleet since we went silent. The Eternal Vigil is 147 years old. She was built specifically for this moment. Byung felt a chill run through his body. You've been waiting. All this time. You've been waiting for war to come back. Not waiting, Hana corrected gently. Ready. There's a difference. We hoped we would never need this fleet. But we built it anyway, because hope without preparation is just wishful thinking. On the bridge of the Eternal Vigil, Captain Taehyun was reading the reports from the captured Vratok destroyer. What he found made him feel cold. Admiral, you need to see this. Minho came to look at his console. The captured computer files showed maps, battle plans, lists of conquered worlds, and more importantly, they showed the Vratok Empire's next targets. They were heading toward our space, Taehyun said quietly. They didn't know we were here, but they were coming this way anyway. In another year, maybe 2, they would have found us, Minho nodded. Then we didn't reveal ourselves by choice. We revealed ourselves just in time. If we had stayed silent, they would have found an unprepared Earth, but we're not unprepared. No, Minho agreed. We're very prepared, and now they know we exist, which means war is coming, Taehyun finished. War is already here, Minho corrected. We just fired the first shots. Now we see how they respond. He stood up and addressed his bridge crew. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them to activate all defense fleets, and someone get me a line to the Galactic Council. It's time the galaxy knew that humanity is back. The news spread across the galaxy in 3 days. Humans were alive. Humans had ships. Humans had destroyed 3 Vratok destroyers without breaking a sweat. Every species heard the news differently. Some with hope, some with fear, some with disbelief. Ambassador Jiho arrived at the Galactic Council station exactly 1 week after the battle. He was a tall man with silver hair and a friendly face. He smiled easily and spoke politely. But everyone who had read Earth's history knew better than to mistake politeness for weakness. The council chamber was a massive circular room with seats for 47 different species. Most of those seats were filled. Everyone wanted to see the human. Some hadn't seen a human in person for 200 years. Some had never seen one at all. Council Speaker Vel, an elderly being from a species called the Toran, opened the session. Ambassador Jiho of Earth, you stand before the Galactic Council for the first time in 2 centuries. Many of us believed your species extinct. You have much to explain. Jiho bowed respectfully. Thank you, Council Speaker. I understand your confusion. Earth chose silence after the Terran isolation conflict. We needed time to recover, to heal, to rebuild. That time has now ended. A representative from the Kelvin species, a fish-like being named Glar, spoke up angrily. Your species attacked Vratok ships without consulting this council. You have violated galactic law. We responded to a distress call, Jiho replied calmly. The Vratok were attacking refugees, civilians, women, and children. Is there a galactic law that says we should have ignored that? Silence filled the chamber. Furthermore, Jiho continued, I have evidence that the council would like to see. With your permission? Council Speaker Vel nodded. Proceed. Jiho activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the center of the room. They showed Vratok attacks on civilian populations. Destroyed cities, prison camps, mass graves, 17 worlds worth of evidence. The council members who had been hostile suddenly looked uncomfortable. This is what the Vratok Empire has done while the council debated and delayed, Jiho said. His voice was still polite, but now there was steel in it. 17 species have been conquered or destroyed. Millions dead, and this council did nothing. We tried diplomatic solutions, Vel protested weakly. How did that work? Jiho asked. The question hung in the air. A representative from an ancient species called the Valorum stood up. The Valorum were old, perhaps the oldest species in the galaxy. They rarely spoke in council sessions. When they did, everyone listened. Ambassador Jiho, the Valorum elder, said, "Your species has been silent for 200 years. Yet you appear now with advanced ships and weapons. You speak our languages. You have detailed intelligence on current events. This suggests you are not truly silent. You are watching. Always watching." Jiho met the elder's gaze. "Yes, we were watching. We learned our lesson the first time. Never again would we be blind to what happens around us. And what did you see watching us all this time?" "We saw the council grow weak. We saw species that should have stood together divide and argue. We saw predators like the Vratok grow strong because no one had the courage to stop them. We saw good people suffer because the strong refused to protect them." The Valorum elder nodded slowly. "And now Earth returns to do what? To replace the Vratok as the new empire?" "No," Jiho said firmly. "We return to do what should have been done years ago. Stop the killing. Protect the innocent. Restore balance. We don't want an empire. We just want peace. Real peace. Not the false peace of fear and surrender." While the council debated, something else was happening in deep space. War Master Krelvax of the Vratok Empire received the news about the destroyed destroyers with rage. He was the supreme military commander of the Empire, and he had never lost a battle. "Humans?" He spat the word like poison. "Extinct humans, impossible." His officers stood nervously in front of him. No one wanted to be the bearer of bad news to Krelvax. "The evidence is clear, War Master," his intelligence officer said carefully. "The ships that destroyed our vessels were human. Advanced technology, superior tactics. Our ships didn't stand a chance. 3 destroyers, Krelvax said. 3 of our best ships. And they surrendered?" "One surrendered. The others were crippled or destroyed." Krelvax's claws dug into his command chair. "How many human ships?" "At least 300 that we detected. But our sensors suggest there may be more hidden using stealth technology." 300 ships. Krelvax calculated quickly. "Assemble Fleet Group 7, 500 ships. We will crush these humans and show the galaxy what happens when someone defies the Vratok Empire." "War Master, perhaps we should investigate further before—" "Are you questioning me?" Krelvax roared. "No, War Master." "Good, we leave in 2 days. Find out where these humans come from. We will go to their home and burn it." On Earth, in the deep command center under the Pacific Ocean, Lieutenant Yunji was studying the intelligence data. She was young but brilliant, with a gift for seeing patterns that others missed. What she found in the Vratok computer files worried her. "Admiral Minho, we have a problem." Minho looked up from his reports. He had been reviewing casualty lists from the battle. 23 crew members wounded. None killed. A miracle, really. But still 23 people hurt because he had given the order to fight. "What kind of problem, Lieutenant?" "The Vratok Empire is bigger than we thought. Our intelligence was out of date. They've conquered 17 systems, yes, but they have military bases in 32 systems. Their total fleet numbers over 5,000 ships." Minho felt his stomach tighten. 5,000? "Yes, sir. And there's more. They're assembling a response fleet right now. Our intelligence suggests 500 ships heading toward our last known position. They'll find our border station soon." "When?" 5 days. Maybe 6. Minho stood and walked to the holographic display of the solar system. 5,000 enemy ships. Earth had 3,000. The math wasn't good, but math wasn't everything. "Send a message to all fleet commanders," Minho ordered. "Full mobilization. Every ship, every station, every defense platform goes to active status. It's time to show them what Earth has really been building." Across the solar system, humans responded to the call. They had been waiting for this for 200 years. Some were scared. Some were excited. All were ready. Captain Taehyun received orders to take his battle group to the Outer Rim. 36 ships under his command. His first independent mission. Pilot Selman and her Wraith Squadron began training exercises with pilots from other squadrons. They would teach them the tactics that had worked so well against the Vratok destroyers. Dr. Hana continued working with the Delian refugees, but now she had a new task. Create a translation database for all known species. If war was coming, humanity needed to be able to talk to their allies and their enemies. Commander Ji-won upgraded her station's defenses and prepared for the worst. If the Vratok came, they would come past her station first. She would be the first line of defense. At the Galactic Council, Ambassador Jiho made his final statement of the session. This council has a choice to make, he said. Continue as you have been, weak and divided, hoping the predators will leave you alone, or stand together. Earth offers our fleet and our technology to any species that wants to resist Vratok aggression. We will not force anyone to join us, but we will fight with or without you. And if the Vratok bring their full fleet against you? Council Speaker Vel asked. If they bring thousands of ships? Jiho smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Then they will learn what happens when you threaten humanity's home. We spent 200 years making sure we would never lose again. We meant it. He left the chamber. Behind him, the council erupted into arguments and debates. Some species wanted to join Earth immediately. Others were too afraid of Vratok revenge. Some believed humanity was bluffing and would be destroyed. The Valorum elder watched Jiho leave and spoke quietly to his assistant. They're not bluffing. I've seen the intelligence reports from our observers. Humanity has turned their entire solar system into a fortress. Every asteroid is weaponized. Every planet has defense platforms. Their ships are more advanced than anything we've built. And their people, the elder paused, their people have changed themselves. Enhanced their bodies and minds to be perfect warriors. They're not the same species that lost the war 200 years ago. Should we help them? The assistant asked. I think the question is whether they need our help. The Vratok are about to attack a fortress that has been 2 centuries in the making. I almost feel sorry for them. Far from Earth, in the darkness between stars, the Vratok fleet assembled. 500 destroyers, cruisers, and battleships. War Master Krelvax stood on the bridge of his flagship and felt confident. 500 ships had never lost a battle. They had conquered worlds, destroyed fleets, made entire species kneel, but he had never fought humans before. Set course for the coordinates where our ships were destroyed, Krelvax ordered. We will follow the trail back to Earth, and then we will show the galaxy that the Vratok Empire cannot be challenged. His fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed. They were heading toward Earth's solar system. They would arrive in 4 days. On Earth, Admiral Minho watched the long-range sensors detect the incoming fleet. 500 ships. It was fewer than he feared, but more than he hoped. War Master Krelvax felt satisfied as his fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Earth solar system. 500 ships, more than enough to destroy whatever primitive defenses these humans had built. Sensors, show me everything, he commanded. His sensor officer worked for several minutes, then looked confused. War Master, I'm detecting nothing, no ships, no stations, no defenses. Space appears empty. Impossible. Our intelligence said humans have ships here. Scan again. The officer scanned 3 more times. The results were the same. Empty space, Krelvax smiled. They ran away, cowards, good. It will make hunting them down easier. All ships advance toward the inner system. Find their homeworld. Find Earth. The Vratok fleet moved forward in a massive formation. 500 ships spread across millions of kilometers of space. They passed the orbit of the outer planets without incident. Still nothing on sensors. War Master, his navigation officer said nervously. We're approaching a large gas giant planet. The humans call it Jupiter. Any defenses? Sensors still show nothing, sir. Continue forward. The fleet passed Jupiter. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then space exploded with light and fire. What had looked like empty space suddenly filled with human ships. Hundreds of them. They had been hiding using advanced stealth technology, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. On the bridge of Commander Jiwan's station, now repositioned near Jupiter, she gave the order she had been waiting years to give. All weapons. Fire at will. Defense Station Epsilon 7 was not just a station. It was a fortress bristling with weapons that had been carefully maintained for 200 years. Missiles launched. Energy beams fired. The station's weapons lit up space like a second sun. All across the battlefield, human ships decloaked and opened fire. They had let the Vratok fleet walk into the middle of a trap. Captain Tae-yun commanded a battle group of 36 ships positioned in the asteroid belt. His tactical display showed the entire battle, and his enhanced mind processed the information instantly. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta 7, he ordered. Focus fire on their command vessels. His battle group moved as one unit, 36 ships working together with perfect coordination. They had trained for this scenario hundreds of times in simulations. Now it was real. The human ships used the asteroid belt as cover, appearing from behind rocks to fire, then disappearing again. The Vratok ships tried to return fire but kept hitting asteroids instead. What the Vratok didn't know was that many of those asteroids were actually weapons platforms. They looked like rocks, but they were filled with missiles and energy weapons. When Vratok ships got close, the asteroids opened fire. War Master Krelvax watched in growing horror as his fleet was torn apart. Ships were exploding all around him. His weapons couldn't hit the human vessels. They were too fast, too agile, and they seemed to know where his ships would be before his pilots did. "How are they doing this?" he roared. His tactical officer looked terrified. "Sir, their coordination is perfect. It's like they can read our minds. Every move we make, they counter it instantly." What the tactical officer didn't know was that human pilots and ship computers were connected through quantum neural networks. They shared information in real time. Every human pilot knew what every other pilot was seeing and thinking. It was like fighting one giant creature with thousands of parts instead of individual ships. On Mars, in a command bunker, Fleet Coordinator Sun Hee sat surrounded by holographic displays showing the entire battle. She was connected to all the ships through her neural implant. She could see through their sensors, process their tactical data, coordinate their movements. It was overwhelming. The amount of information would have driven a normal human insane, but Sun Hee had been trained for this since childhood. Enhanced genetics, decades of practice, neural implants that let her mind work at computer speeds. She was not commanding the battle. She was the battle. Every ship, every weapon, every maneuver flowed through her awareness. She saw the Vratok fleet as a whole and identified weak points instantly. Group 7, there's a gap in their formation at coordinates 479. "Exploit it," she said calmly. 30 ships moved to attack the gap before the Vratok could close it. 12 enemy vessels were destroyed in minutes. Group 12, enemy reinforcements coming from your left. Rotate defensive formation. The ships rotated smoothly. The Vratok reinforcements flew into a wall of weapons fire. This was what humanity had built in 200 years. Not just better ships, not just better weapons, but a completely new way of fighting. Every human was connected. Every battle was fought with perfect coordination. The fleet moved like a single living thing. Pilot Soman led Wraith Squadron through the chaos of battle. Her fighter was designed for this environment. Small, fast, nearly invisible to sensors, she dived through the spaces between capital ships, targeting critical systems with surgical precision. "Wraith 3, target that battleship's shield generator." "Wraith 5, cover him," she ordered. The two fighters worked together flawlessly. One drew the battleship's attention while the other slipped through its defenses. A single well-placed missile destroyed the shield generator. The battleship was now vulnerable. "Wraith Leader to Battlegroup Omega, enemy battleship shields are down. Coordinates transmitted." 3 human cruisers focused their weapons on the defenseless battleship. It exploded spectacularly. Chief Engineer Dae-hyun watched the battle from his laboratory on Earth. He was not a fighter. He was a builder. For 40 years he had designed and perfected the weapons humanity was now using. Watching them work filled him with satisfaction, but he had one more surprise for the Vratok. "Admiral Minho," he said over the comm, "request permission to activate the Cascade Network." On the Eternal Vigil, Admiral Minho considered the request. The Cascade Network was their secret weapon. Once activated, there would be no hiding what humanity had built. "Permission granted. Show them what we're capable of." Dae-hyun smiled and activated the system. Across the entire solar system, millions of tiny satellites powered up. They had been floating in space for decades, looking like debris. Now they revealed their true purpose. The satellites formed a network connecting to each other with beams of energy. Within seconds, a web of power covered the entire battlefield. Any weapon fired by the Vratok ships was caught by this web. The energy was redirected, amplified, and sent back at the enemy. Vratok ships found themselves destroyed by their own weapons. The harder they fought, the more damage they did to themselves. War Master Krelvax realized he was losing. Badly. Of his 500 ships, over 200 were already destroyed or crippled. The humans had lost maybe 20 ships. 20 out of hundreds, all ships, retreat, he ordered. Back to the jump point. But retreating from this battle was not easy. Human ships pursued them, harrying them every step of the way. The Cascade Network made it impossible to fight back effectively. Asteroids that they had passed peacefully on the way in were now firing at them on the way out. The Vratok fleet ran. What had been a proud armada of 500 ships was now a panicked mob trying to survive. Admiral Minho stood on his bridge and watched them flee. Part of him wanted to destroy them all, to make sure they could never threaten Earth again. But another part of him, the part that still remembered what war cost, held back. "Let them go," he ordered. "But make sure some survive to tell the story." Captain Taehyun heard the order and felt disappointed. His battle group could have destroyed dozens more enemy ships. But he understood the strategy. A few survivors could carry a message. They could tell the Vratok Empire what happened here. They could spread fear. Of the 500 Vratok ships that entered the solar system, only 47 escaped. They jumped to faster-than-light speed and fled, leaving their dead behind. On the bridge of his damaged flagship, War Master Krelvax stared at the tactical display in disbelief. He had lost, completely, utterly. His supposedly unstoppable fleet had been torn apart by humans. Humans, the extinct species, the defeated race. His son Vex, a young warrior, came to stand beside him. "Father, what happened? How did they do this?" Krelvax didn't answer for a long moment. Finally, he spoke quietly. "They were ready. For 200 years they prepared. They built. They improved themselves. We thought they were weak. We were wrong. We were so wrong. What do we do now? We go home. We tell the Emperor what we saw, and we pray he listens. Because if he doesn't..." Krelvax looked at his son. "If he doesn't, the Empire will fall. These humans are not the species we thought they were. They are something new. Something dangerous." Back in the Earth solar system, the human fleet regrouped. Damage reports came in. 23 ships destroyed. 1,847 personnel killed. Many more wounded. Admiral Minho read each name of the dead. He had given the order to fight. These deaths were his responsibility. He felt the weight of each one. Commander Ji-won sent him a private message. "We won, Minho. You led us to victory." "We survived," he corrected. "The real war hasn't started yet." "This was just the first battle. What do you mean?" "I mean that the Vratok Empire has over 4,000 ships left. And now we've made them angry. They'll come back. With everything they have." Ji-won was quiet for a moment. "Then are we ready for that?" Minho looked at the tactical display showing Earth's defenses. The human armada gathered near Mars, 3,000 ships in formation. Every vessel was crewed and ready. Every weapon was charged. They were going to do something that had never been done before. They were going to attack the Vratok homeworld directly. Admiral Minho stood on the bridge of the Eternal Vigil and addressed his fleet. His words were transmitted to every ship, every crew member, every soldier. 200 years ago, humanity almost died. We lost billions of people. We lost whole cities. We lost our place in the galaxy. But we survived. And in surviving, we made a promise. Never again. Never again would we be victims. Never again would we be weak. Today we keep that promise. The Vratok Empire thought they could prey on the innocent. They thought no one would stop them. They were wrong. We go now to their homeworld, not for revenge, but for justice. Not to conquer, but to protect. We fight so that no species ever has to suffer as we did. We fight for the galaxy, for peace, for the future. All ships prepare to jump. In the command center on Mars, Fleet Coordinator Sun-hee prepared for the biggest challenge of her career. Coordinating 3,000 ships across light years of space. Her neural implants were already processing data at maximum capacity. She was ready. Captain Taehyun felt nervous excitement as his battle group prepared to jump. This was it. The real war. He looked at his crew, young faces mostly, people who had never known anything but peace and preparation. Now they would know war. Pilot Soman checked her fighter one last time. Wraith Squadron would be the first to engage the enemy defenses. It was an honor and a terrible responsibility. She thought about the people she was fighting for, the refugees they had saved, the innocent species that the Vratok had destroyed. Dr. Hana was not going into battle. She remained on Earth with the Delian refugees, but she had an important task. She would broadcast a message to the Vratok people in their own language, a message of warning and hope. "All ships report ready," the communications officer announced. "Jump," Admiral Minho ordered. 3,000 human ships vanished from the Mars staging area and reappeared in Vratok space, right on the edge of their homeworld's defense perimeter. The audacity of the move shocked the galaxy. Earth was not defending. Earth was attacking. Alarms screamed across the Vratok homeworld. Their sensors showed an armada appearing from nowhere. At first, they thought it was a sensor malfunction. No one would dare attack the Vratok homeworld. It was defended by over 1,000 ships and hundreds of orbital weapons platforms, but the sensors were not malfunctioning. The human fleet was really there. Admiral Minho did not attack immediately. First, Dr. Hana's message was broadcast on all Vratok frequencies. Her voice was calm and clear, speaking perfect Vratok language. People of the Vratok Empire, I am Dr. Hana of Earth. We have come to your homeworld not to destroy you, but to end your empire's aggression. For decades, your leaders have conquered peaceful species, destroyed worlds, killed millions of innocent people. Your emperor has lied to you. He told you that strength means taking what you want. He was wrong. True strength means protecting those who cannot protect themselves. We offer you a choice. Stand down your defenses. Surrender your military forces. Accept peace, or we will be forced to end this war by force. We do not want to harm civilians. We do not want to destroy your world, but we will stop your empire. The choice is yours. The broadcast repeated in multiple languages. On the Vratok homeworld, billions of people heard it. Many were shocked. Some were angry. Some were afraid. And some, those who had secretly questioned the Empire's actions, felt hope. The Vratok Emperor sat in his palace and raged. Attack them! Destroy them all! The Vratok defense fleet moved to engage the human armada, 1,000 ships against 3,000. The odds were not in their favor, but they were defending their homeworld. They would fight with desperation. The battle began. But this battle was different from the one in Earth's solar system. Admiral Minho had given strict orders. Minimize civilian casualties. Target military installations only. We're not here to massacre a population. We're here to end a war. It made the battle harder, more complicated. The human fleet had to be precise instead of overwhelming. They had to think about every shot, every missile, every attack. Pilot Selman led Wraith Squadron toward the orbital defense platforms. These massive stations could fire on ships or on targets below. They had to be disabled carefully, not destroyed completely, or debris would fall on the cities below. Wraiths, target the power generators only. Disable, don't destroy, she ordered. Her squadron flew through a storm of weapons fire. The Vratok defenders were fighting desperately. But human ships were faster, more agile, better coordinated. One by one, the defense platforms went dark. Captain Taehyun's battle group engaged the Vratok fleet in the space above their homeworld. His tactical display showed 1,000 enemy contacts. His enhanced mind calculated firing solutions, escape routes, weak points in the enemy formation. Battle Group Tango, focus on the command cruisers, take out their coordination, and the rest will fall apart. His ships executed the plan perfectly. Within an hour, half the Vratok command structure was gone. Their fleet was fighting bravely but without coordination. Ships moved independently, making them easier targets. Fleet Coordinator Sun-hee sat in her command center on Mars, her mind stretched across light years, directing the battle. She saw everything. Every ship, every shot, every casualty. The amount of data would have killed a normal human. But she processed it all, finding patterns. Exploiting weaknesses, Group 42. Enemy reinforcements coming from the far side of the planet, intercept. Group 97. Friendly ships need support at coordinate 763. All groups watch for civilian evacuation ships. Do not fire on anything without military signatures. The battle raged for 6 hours. The Vratok defense fleet fought bravely but was outmatched. Human technology, tactics, and coordination proved superior. But Admiral Minho had kept his word. The human fleet targeted military assets only. Shipyards were destroyed. Weapons factories were bombed. Orbital defense platforms were disabled. But civilian areas were left untouched. War Master Krelvax had returned to the homeworld just before the battle. He stood in the Imperial Command Center with the Emperor and watched their fleet being destroyed. "This is your fault," the Emperor screamed at him. "You led them here." "No," Krelvax said quietly. "You led them here. With your conquests, your cruelty, your belief that the Vratok were superior to everyone else. I warned you. I told you these humans were different. You didn't listen. How dare you speak to me like that?" Krelvax looked at his Emperor, the being he had served his entire life, and felt only disgust. "I dare because we're losing. Our fleet is destroyed. Our defenses are gone. And those humans out there could have bombed our cities from orbit, but they didn't. They fought with honor even while we showed none. We lost because we deserved to lose." The Emperor raised his weapon to kill Krelvax for treason. But before he could fire, his own guards stopped him. They had heard Krelvax's words. They had seen the battle. They knew the truth. "It's over," the head of the Imperial Guard said. "Surrender. Save what's left of our people." Admiral Minho received the surrender signal an hour later. The Vratok Empire was giving up. All military forces were standing down. The Emperor was being removed from power. Minho felt exhausted. They had won, but it didn't feel like a victory. Too many people had died on both sides. The war was over, but the cost had been high. "All ships ceasefire," he ordered. "Accept the surrender. Begin recovery operations." Captain Taihyun led his battle group in helping Vratok ships that were damaged. Human medical teams transferred to enemy vessels to treat wounded. Some Vratok soldiers were confused. Why were their enemies helping them? One young Vratok soldier, Vex, found himself being treated by a human medic. The medic worked efficiently, stopping bleeding, administering medicine. "Why?" Vex asked in broken human language. "Why help?" "We enemies," the medic looked at him. "Because the war is over." "And because we're not your enemies. Your empire was our enemy. You're just a soldier doing what you were told. Just like me." Vex felt something break inside him. All his life he had been taught that the Vratok were superior, that other species were inferior. But these humans had defeated them easily and then showed mercy. They were everything the Empire claimed to be but wasn't. Behind enemy lines during the chaos of battle, pilot Somin had been shot down. Her fighter crashed in a Vratok city. She ejected safely but was stranded. She expected to be captured, maybe killed. Instead, she found herself protecting Vratok civilians from falling debris. A building had been hit by accident and people were trapped inside. Somin used her enhanced strength to lift rubble and pull people out. Vratok civilians watched in amazement as the human pilot, their supposed enemy, saved their families. When Vratok soldiers finally found her, they didn't arrest her. Instead, they helped her rescue more people. The war was over and everyone could see that these humans were not monsters. 3 months after the battle, the galaxy had changed completely. The Vratok Empire was dissolved. The Emperor was in prison awaiting trial for war crimes. The Vratok people were beginning the long process of reforming their society. The Galactic Council was reformed with new rules and new leadership.